Hello and welcome to another episode of Lyons Roar. I'm delighted you've joined us and delighted that you've joined us in such a busy and important week for Northern Ireland. I'm delighted that on this episode I'm going to be joined by our Deputy First Minister, our very own Emma Little-Pengelly, and Gordon Lyons, our Communities Ministers, who are zooming in from across the Atlantic. This week there's been a lot of news about their trip in the US, but you might have failed to notice some of it. Our BBC have sent a whole coterie of folks to the United States, but they're spending an awful lot of time talking about the Taoiseach and the Republic. So for tuning in to Lions Roar, you're going to hear in a very unfiltered way the great news about the visit that's happening on our behalf and the work that Emma and Gordon are doing in standing up and speaking out for Northern Ireland. So thank you for joining. And Emma and Gordon, thank you for joining too. Say hi, Emma.
Hello, lovely to be here.
And Gordon.
Hello, everyone.
Emma, we've seen quite a bit of your activity over the last number of days. Today's Thursday. This is probably going to go out on Saturday. So if we're talking about yesterday or today or tomorrow, just to give our listeners a reflection of what you've been up to over the last couple of days. But you started out outside of Washington. You arrived in Washington a couple of days ago and you had some great engagement with President Trump. Do you want to give us a sense of what you've been up to over the last couple of days?
Yeah, of course. This week in around the States is a great opportunity for us to promote Northern Ireland, really champion Northern Ireland. We get unparalleled level of access, particularly in terms of the political space, but of course it's also about promoting our trade. So I was really pleased to go with that visit to North Carolina. The Northern Ireland Chamber of Commerce have this MOU with the North Carolina Chamber of Commerce. That's 1 year this week. And look, really great things happen. Lots of commonality in terms of industries around AI, technology, software, health and life sciences, for example, on aerospace and defence, and of course, so many more as well. And of course, in North Carolina, we've got that really rich shared heritage and history, because of course, tens of thousands of Ulster Scots, Scots-Irish, as they're referred to here in the States, came out to states like North Carolina and really built that political and commercial life. And of course, for the rest of the week, I've been here at Capitol Hill talking and engaging with key policymakers, decision makers, and of course, directly to the President of the United States yesterday.
And how was that? Did you get on well? Did he tell you about his aspirations for Northern Ireland and his association with golf and how he loves Rory McIlroy? What was it like?
Yeah, and it just shows you the power of golf, for example, to be able to raise awareness around Northern Ireland. He was very clearly aware of Northern Ireland and what we have to offer, particularly in relation to golf. He has obviously that relationship with Rory McIlroy. I took the opportunity to give him a flag from Royal Portrush. Really proud, like absolutely world-class course there. And we've got many others, as we know, as well. So that really caught his imagination. He was very pleased with that. I got it personalised with the 45 and 47, which of course is the 45th and 47th presidency. But of course, for me, it was an opportunity to really promote Northern Ireland and make sure Northern Ireland was on his radar. As you know, this week in Washington can very often be quite dominated by the Republic of Ireland. So of course, it's important for us to take every opportunity to champion Northern Ireland, and particularly, I think, more than ever this week, because of the possibility of the tariff war between the EU and the UK. It is so important for us to be here championing and making sure Northern Ireland issues are understood and that they are aware of them.
Yeah. And thank you for doing that on our behalf over the last number of days. I know you're in the car. I know you can't stay with us for the entire time of this podcast, but Emma, there are serious meetings that you're engaged in of serious meat and of economic benefit for Northern Ireland. So where are you now and what are you just about to go into?
Well, I'm just here at the US Chamber of Commerce, where, along with Invest NI, I'll be speaking to around 30 US businesses. So this is a really good opportunity for us, not just about what Northern Ireland wants in terms of that foreign direct investment and in those industries. Of course, we've been really successful of getting that US FDI. Indeed, outside of London, we're the most successful region of the UK in terms of attracting that. But of course, it's also about what we can give to the US. Our AI software tech companies are working with big US companies like Berg and American Airlines, for example, where, just in the last couple of weeks, we've got that confirmation that they're actually working with them to give some of our expertise to them. So I think the emphasis to the president and to those around the president this week has been this isn't a one-way street. This is very much about Northern Ireland playing its part and having those trade and business links to the mutual benefit of the US and, of course, to Northern Ireland. We had our fantastic Northern Ireland business breakfast this morning. This is a staple in the DEC St. Patrick's Week calendar now. And it's really important because this is the big event of the year, of the week here in DC, where it's unapologetically championing Northern Ireland. And I think Gordon was there with us as well this morning. And I think he would agree with me. Huge turnout. Massive willingness to get in as well, which is a really good sign. But also the really positive energy in that room this morning of a lot of people from civic, from business, from academia that have turned up in this city to champion Northern Ireland. And, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I will never apologise for turning up, standing up and speaking up for Northern Ireland, because that's what the people of Northern Ireland want all of us to do. And I think that in terms of this week, that's certainly what they've got from myself, Gordon, and those others that have been here to really champion.
Super. Thank you very much, Emma. We're going to let you go because I know you're under tight time pressure. Thank you for what you've been doing. Thank you for standing up for Northern Ireland and championing our wee country in the US of A. Thanks, Emma.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
So, Gordon, that's a whistle-stop tour from Emma's perspective. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We have a really good week so far, but I think for me it's been great because it's been really productive as well. I was here in the US back in October time, trying to begin some of these connections and links with some of the key stakeholders here, and I'm really pleased because we're now seeing the fruit of that engagement. That's why it's so important that we actually turn up and that we build relationships and make sure that we connect with people, and ultimately so that we can deliver for people in Northern Ireland. So I started off my week here on Tuesday, and I was at the Smithsonian. And I don't know if our listeners have been to the US and been to the Smithsonian, but it's there a major network of museums, and most of them are located here in DC. So I wanted to build those connections with them because of the links that we have, in particular with the Ulster Scots, and that's something you're going to hear a lot more from me over the coming months. But we had a really good event there, and I used that opportunity to announce another £750,000 investment into the Ulster American Folk Park. That went down very, very well, and it demonstrated our commitment to telling that story of those that left Ulster in the 17 and 1800s and made their way to the US, and not only made their way there, but helped to build the country as we know it today. And so this has really been the theme of my week, Gavin. I have been trying to push this up the agenda and make people aware of the 250th anniversary next year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and in particular, the role that Northern Ireland played in that, certainly people from our shores. So that's led to a couple of other announcements that I was able to make yesterday. I've been engaging with the 250 Commission, and essentially that is the party planning committee for next year. It's appointed to oversee all of the celebrations. And I met with one of the commissioners and with the executive director. And thanks to the work that we've been doing over the last few months, they have agreed that there is going to be something very special for Northern Ireland. There's going to be an international commemoration event at Mount Vernon, which is George Washington's home place. And Northern Ireland will have special recognition there because of the role of people from Ulster. So that's good news, as well as an agreement that we will work together to highlight the role that people from Ulster played during that time. So that's tangible delivery for people in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, no, that's super. Thanks, Gordon. I mean, you'll know, some of our listeners may not, that I'm not too far from Mount Vernon myself at the moment. The North Belfast Mount Vernon, great place that it is. And that highlights some of the cultural ties, some of the connections, and why we have Mount Vernon listed is because of that American connection. Mount Vernon named as it is because of that American connection. Emma talked a bit about some of the cultural ties. That's been the mainstay of your focus. Mm-hmm. So let's unpack that a wee bit. Money for OMA, 750,000, an agreement with the Smithsonian, relationship with Prony, and work on the 250th Commission. So let's break it down. What's happening? Ulster Scots and the Omagh Folk Park.
So this is the redevelopment, refurbishment, next stage of the Ulster American Folk Park. You might know it was established at the bicentennial in 1976, and some of it's a little bit old, and we want to refurbish that. So I'm given that capital money this year, and that helps unlock a further £20 million investment into that park. Some of that's coming from City Deal and other sources, but the money that I'm giving is what needed to open that up. And that's such a key facility that we have to tell that story of what life was like in Ulster in the 1700s, what the journey to America would have been like, and then what it was like for those whenever they arrived. So that's funding that's going into that, and Museums NI are very, very happy about that, and also got a really good response from the Smithsonian as well. They're really pleased to see that we're prepared to tell that story.
Yeah, cool. And the 250 Commission. So, by the way, on the Omagh Folk Park, big fan of the Bluegrass Festival. I hope that that's going to be developed and it's going to be encouraged. I've been to it. It's really good fun. So the 250 Commission, then tell us about that. How are we going to be engaged with that? How does our presence differ from other countries that are equally or co-equally involved in the creation of America as we know it today?
What was really interesting in the meeting yesterday was Jen Condon, who is the executive director, said that we're the only country that has engaged with them in terms of the celebrations. He says no one else has come near us. No one else has said, how can we be involved? The other thing that was really exciting about it was that they weren't aware of some of the stories that we had to tell. So John Dunlap, for example, he printed the first copies of the Declaration of Independence the day after it was signed. He was from Strabane in County Tyrone. The secretary to the Continental Congress, one of the founding fathers of the US, was Charles Thompson. He was from Maghera in County Londonderry. So these were stories that I was able to tell them. I also presented them with a copy of the newsletter from 1776. It took 6 weeks for the news to reach Ulster, but I was able to show them a copy and present them with a copy of that as well. And they were really intrigued. And that's part of the wider story that we have to tell. So as a result of that, we will be finalizing an agreement. And in that, it will set out how, whenever they're putting on events, cultural activities, educational activities, that the story of people from Ulster will be told. And I was really glad that Catherine Thompson from Museums NI was with me yesterday, and they will be helping to provide some of the information and some of the historical background. And that's really important that story is told. It's a great news story, but anything that generates more interest in Northern Ireland is ultimately good for us if we can get more people to come and visit here or invest here as well.
Super, super. So tell me about then the rest of your day. You're in the Northern Ireland Bureau in Washington at the moment, and I think you've got engagement with some folks over from community and voluntary sector.
Yes, NICVA will be coming here very, very soon, and we're going to be having a conversation about the importance of the community and voluntary sector in Northern Ireland and the impact that it has had on achieving and sustaining peace here as well, and what we need to do. And Gavin, this is really important because we're in a period of constrained budgets. There's so much that we want to do for our people. We don't have the budget to do that. And as is often has been the case in the past, it's the voluntary and community sector that step in and provide so many of the things that are needed for our citizens, whether that's help in employment support or in childcare, or in making sure that there is access to sport and to activities for our young people. So we're going to be having that conversation and how we can work together with the voluntary and community sector here in the US to strengthen those relationships. Again, it's a recurring theme, whether it's with universities or business or the cultural connections that we're doing those together as well. Then Emma and I are meeting up later this afternoon at Arlington National Cemetery. You might think, why are we going to Arlington? Well, this goes back to our Ulster Scots roots. Again, we're going to be laying a wreath at the grave of John Dill, who served in the First and Second World Wars and was very, very closely connected with the United States during the Second World War. And he is buried at Arlington by special permission of Congress back in the 1940s, whenever or back in the 1960s after he had served. And he was from Lurgan, and we're going to be commemorating him. And again, this is all about highlighting those connections between Ulster and the US. And again, that's just what this trip has all been about.
Good, Gordon. Thank you. And you're sharing, work of substance, and you are being, as I said to Emma, prepared to go and fly the flag for Northern Ireland to strengthen those bonds between Ulster and the United States of America. So thank you for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. Having praised you now, I need to remind you that whenever I was in the United States about 3 months ago, I remembered and faithfully returned to Northern Ireland with a bottle of Chick-fil-A sauce for you. So
You did. And I know what you're going to ask me.
Just planting that seed and reminding you that I'm here and
Yeah.
I await your return.
Yes. Well, I know in particular what it is that you would like brought back. And I am happy to confirm breaking news on the Lyons Roar podcast that a bag of peanut butter M&Ms has been purchased for you.
That's most important. No, thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. We know you've got a packed itinerary. We know that you've got folks waiting outside for the engagement with NICVA and so on. That it is a packed schedule, that sometimes at home people think it's about receptions and so on, but there's serious work ongoing, whether it's in your cultural space, Emma with the business space, and making sure that our voice is heard in the United States, and Northern Ireland benefits from the relationship that we have. So thank you to you. Thank you to Emma, and thank you to all you listeners who have been tuning in to Lyons Roar, enjoying the content that we're sharing with you, letting you see behind the scenes just some of the work that goes on your behalf, and making sure that you too have a stake in making Northern Ireland as good as it can be. So thank you for logging on. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and look forward to seeing you again next time.